Hi, I'm Jody Clock from Clock Timeless Pets, and Ernie and I are here with Mercy Vienna's Hospice on behalf of hosting Pet Education Day. Today there will be many local experts who are here sharing their knowledge about how to keep your pet healthy through its life, all the way through the end of life care, or that final care for your pet.
My name is Dr. Bitework. I am a veterinarian, small animal veterinarian in Grand Haven, Michigan at Haven Animal Hospital, which is my practice. I have an associate now, and I know I'm talking on cats today, but I have my dogs in this picture. So this is Dog and this is Lily, and they're both rescue dogs. But I also have cats. I have 3 cats at home and 3 at the clinic. So they asked me here today to talk about cats and cat health, and so we're kind of brainstorming about the biggest topics to cover. And in our practice, what we see typically are issues about diet, dental care, and what constitutes lifelong preventive care, not CAR. Okay? So I'm going to start by talking about diet, and I know Tanya's going to do a little bit of talk on diet as well. Mine's going to come from a more scientific perspective as opposed to someone who actually works in the field of nutrition a little bit more. Diet is one of the biggest things nowadays for cats. All too often they come into us with health issues related to the food that they're eating. And I think most of us nowadays are a lot more careful about what we eat, and we are more careful about what we feed our pets. When you're picking food for your cat, there's a lot of things you want to consider. Is your kitty indoor or outdoor? Is it sitting on the couch all day, or is it outside hunting mice? Do you have other cats in the household or other pets that might mean that you can't feed your cat on the floor? You've got to put it up. That's how it is at my house, because the dogs will eat their food. Or if you have lots of cats and you've got one that's 20 pounds and one that's 8, which is a big issue for multi-cat households. How busy they are. If you have a young cat that's running around like crazy versus a very geriatric cat that just wants to sleep all day. Males versus females. Males tend not to be as heavy as females, as in most species. Neutered or not neutered. Nowadays, I don't know very many people who have not neutered cats in their home. I wouldn't want a neutered, non-neutered male in my home because they will spray on everything. And an intact female is pretty crazy when they're in heat, so you don't really want that either. So I would, reduce littering and go ahead and spay and neuter your pet. And if they have concurrent health problems, things like kidney disease, liver disease, you're going to pick a diet based on that. If I get too technical, or if you have a question, just jump in, okay? Sometimes I'm not sure how much people know. The biggest issue we see with diet-related problems nowadays is obesity in cats. They estimate approximately, anybody want to guess how many cats in the United States? And I'm talking pet cats, not feral cats, because they're skinny. Pet cats, approximately 40% of the pet cats are obese, or in the obese range, which is, a lot. And the biggest physical disorder, health disorder that occurs due to obesity is type 2 diabetes, which of course is common in people as well. Diabetes is, if it's picked up in the early stages in an obese cat and it's type 2 diabetes, it can be reversed. They can be transiently diabetic. If you get the weight off of them, treat the diabetes right then and there, you can actually revert them to normal. And if you keep their weight stable, they can stay normal the rest of their lives. Treating a diabetic cat is a difficult proposition. It is a very challenging thing to do. They're very fragile diabetics. They're very, very difficult to control. So it's much better just to keep your cat's weight at an appropriate level, which for the standard American cat is about 10 pounds. So if you have a 15, 18, 20 pound cat, probably overweight. Yeah, I have one that's 18 pounds and he's this big. Yeah, so they're not all overweight if they're over 10 pounds, but the basic American cat is about 10 pounds. So I'm going to zip over here real quick and grab my notes too. This little chart here is a really good way to determine, can you guys see okay? Not too much glare? What your animal should look like, okay? This is the cat that's living outside right now. It's too skinny, poor cat. We just had one come in, lived in somebody's house all winter long, and they finally got a hold of her and brought her in, poor thing. This is perfect. You can see they have a nice waist there and a waist there. Now we're starting to get into the tubby, and this is the obese stage. Okay, this is where we see diabetes occur, and it doesn't take long for these guys to develop it, and they can be 3 years old and be diabetic. And trying to keep a diabetic cat alive its whole life if you start at the age of 3 is really, really difficult. That's me. I never ate 4 boxes though. I can eat a lot of Thin Mints. The interesting thing about cats, and one of the reasons that they did this really great study, it's several years now, but where they tried to determine why all these cats that are inside only were so obese. They're being fed the appropriate amount of food, it's a good quality cat food. Why are they all getting so heavy? Well, it turns out that cats are what we call obligate carnivores. They can't metabolize carbohydrates at all. And if you look at a cat's teeth, you realize it truly is a carnivore. They have all sharp cusps. They don't have any herbivore teeth, no flat teeth at all. So they take those carbs that they get in their dry food, because flour is a carbohydrate, and they store it as fat. And they get really, really heavy. And that's why people will come and say, she gets a half a cup of food a day, but they're 20 pounds. And that's the primary reason. It's not the fault of the owner or the food. Well, it is the food, but it's not the fault of too much food. Then the other thing is the canned versus dry debate. Canned food is definitely much preferred for cats nowadays. And that goes against everything we ever taught people. Because we always said, nope, dry is way better, much better for their teeth, blah, blah, blah. Well, we now know that canned is much better because the amount of protein versus carbs in canned is significantly greater. And so you can take canned food and feed it to all the cats in your household, and they will more or less normalize. So if you have a 8-pound kitty, it'll probably stay at 8 pounds. If you have a 20-pound cat, it's probably going to come down to about 10 pounds. So it's a pretty easy thing if you can feed canned food in your household. The other problem, of course, with canned is not all cats will eat it. If you don't start them out on canned food, they don't want to eat it. They want to eat dry. So they're true creatures of habit. So I would encourage you, if you have a young cat, get them on some canned food. And not the semi-moist. Semi-moist is full of sugar. Those little packets, don't feed that. The other thing, of course, with feeding canned food is you tend to want to put the food out. Most cats will eat a portion of it, but not all of it. But they do like to graze throughout the day. So that's where some of the dry food comes in. You can, put a few kibbles out, because otherwise they're going to get you up in the middle of the night and say, it's time for my chipmunk. So come and feed me. So that's why I always have a little dry out. And I put a dental diet out for my cats, because the kibbles are very large and they have to chew them. And that gives them something to graze on during the night.
Wanted. Cars, trucks, and vans. Sprague's Auto Parts offers top prices for your wrecked, junk, or unwanted vehicles. Cash on the spot. We pick up or you drop off. For more information, you can call us at 231-726-2988. Sprague's Auto Parts, 81 South Getty Street, Muskegon.
For nearly 9 years, West Michigan Driving Academy has been providing Muskegon County with complete, comprehensive driver's education. Students spend time both in the classroom and on the road in a state-approved driver's education vehicle with state-certified instructors. West Michigan Driving Academy is the only school in Muskegon that offers both day and evening classes throughout the summer. Accident-free with 150 years of combined experience, you will drive safe at West Michigan Driving Academy.
These are some of the different things. Other things they determined about cats is that chewing is not part of digestion for cats, unlike most other mammals. They do not have to choose their food, and in most cases they don't. They swallow it whole. They don't have digestive enzymes in their saliva, and therefore they don't need to chew. And if you've ever seen a cat eat like a chipmunk or something, I mean, it goes down in like 3 big gulps. They do not chew. Feeding and quality food can definitely reduce the severity, frequency of general health issues that arise from feeding poor quality foods.
Do cats and dogs, do they get more dental problems if they don't can?
We're going to talk about that, okay? But that is why we always said dry food, because of the dental issues. We know now, because cats don't chew, doesn't really matter. If you're feeding a regular dry food, most of the time they're not chewing it. They're just swallowing it whole. And if you've ever had a cat that vomits, they vomit it up whole. So, but these are some of the things. Urinary tract disease used to be much more common than it is nowadays. We don't see it as nearly as frequently as we used to. Chronic vomiting, diarrhea, skin issues, itchy skin in cats is a food allergy problem. Dental disease, and of course obesity, which we talked about earlier. This is just a cute little cartoon about some of the things that kitties get into. I was making my salad the other day and I put it on the table and I turned around and my cat was eating my salad. They really like things like romaine lettuce and stuff like that. I know. Things to avoid: no beer for your kitty. Foods with dyes, the semi-moist packeted foods, the super inexpensive bulk bin foods. I would stay away from those. Human food, of course. You know, cats are fairly lactose intolerant. Milk, things like that, doesn't go very well. There's a big thing about the grain-free debate. In cats, I think the problem, of course, is because grains are carbs. That's where it's really the issue. There are, of course, diets that we use often as a medication, and that's one of the big things about preventive care in cats nowadays is when you detect diseases early, you can do a lot to slow the progression of the disorder by feeding an appropriate diet. And they've made several very good ones nowadays. Okay, that was my first topic. Then the second one is dental disease. And this is something that we see a lot of in cats. They don't tolerate dental health issues at all. Their teeth, for some reason, and I'm not sure the physiology on this one, the enamel is not very strong like on a dog's teeth. The cats, doing an oral, I don't know if you have cats, if you've ever tried to look in your cat's mouth. It's not easy, you know. Cats, they don't like it, and cats kind of do what they want. So for those 2 reasons, most people don't ever look in the back of their cat's mouth. But you want to get back to these cheek teeth here, way back here, and that's hard to do in a cat. We look at them, of course, all day because that's, you know, part of the exam. The American Association of Feline Practitioners have done a lot of collecting data. And up to 30% of all cats have dental disease by the time they're 3 years old, which is pretty young. This is gingivitis here, and that is a dental disease, a pretty severe dental disease, and that's what we see most in cats. That can be the result of viral infections in kittens too. Feline herpes virus is very common. Calicivirus will do that as well as does the accumulation of tartar, the bacteria that's associated with that. This is what happens to cats. They get what's called a gingival resorptive lesion, feline oral resorptive lesion. They just get a hole in their tooth right at the gum line and it goes right into the pulp cavity. And you touch that even when they're asleep with anesthesia and they jump. I mean, it's got to be really painful. They progress rapidly and cause drooling, loss of appetite, things like that because of the oral pain. It's amazing to me how often we'll have cats come in where they obviously have several of these in their mouth and you don't know. Most people don't realize it. So these are just, and I've got handouts for you guys too that have all this information in them. Just the different grades of dental disease. Most cats come in like this, but I just sat one in yesterday like this. We had to take out 5 teeth. So preventing this is a lot better than removing the teeth once it develops. Other things which most people know nowadays in respect to themselves as well, that dental disease leads to kidney disease, liver disease, heart valve disorders, other serious health disorders than just the fact that their teeth fall out. So we're really promoting dental health in all of our pet patients, but primarily cats because of their sensitivity to dental disease. These are the ways to prevent it, and I always laugh at this one. Brushing your kitty's teeth. I think it'd be great if you could do it. Jennifer, do you brush Persia's teeth? I don't brush my cat's teeth either.
That's the last thing she'll let me do.
The veterinary dentists say this is the single best way to prevent dental health in any of your pets. It's just very difficult in some cats. Some of them will let you do it. Dental diets like TD. TD has kibbles that are about that big. I mean, they have to chew them. They cannot swallow them whole. And that's the whole point. It's put together in such a matrix that it has to slide up and down the tooth. So you're actually physically scraping the tooth.
I have samples of those today.
Yeah. So and it works really, really well. If you've got a significant amount of dental disease, it probably isn't going to remove it. But if you have clean teeth, then you add in some TD. And we usually say, 4 or 5 kibbles a day, or just mix it in with a regular diet or something. That's what I use for my cats. It works really well. Greenie treats, they love them. They work really well. Good food versus cheap foods make a big difference. We see a lot of animals come in that have come, say, from a collector situation or something where they're being fed really, really inexpensive food and their teeth are stained and full of tartar and calculus. And just good food over the course of the next 6 months or so will make all the difference in the world in their dental health. And then having somebody look in their mouth. We do it pretty routinely, well, every day. And we can see, how much dental disease do you have? TD is going to be good enough for you, or you actually need to bring your cat in for a dental. So, which we do all the time now. The third topic was preventive care. And this is a pretty big topic nowadays for cats because most cats don't come to the vet. Less than 20 or 30% of all cats ever see a veterinarian after their initial presentation. And most people will say, well, my cat seems fine. And they do.
Doesn't go outside.
Right, yeah, stays inside, seems fine, that kind of thing. The problem with that, of course, is that they are really, really good at hiding disease. They can be really sick without you even knowing it. And the big ones are kidney disease, liver disease, diabetes, and hyperthyroidism. Those big 4 develop in cats as early as the age of 8. Coming in once or twice a year to be examined is really the best thing you can do for that. The problem, of course, the biggest thing is getting them there. Getting them in their cage and getting them there is really hard. I have links to a couple of websites that have videos on how do you load your cat in the carrier, the best way to get him in there. And then at our practice, we're working on being a feline friendly practice through the AAFP, American Association of Feline Practitioners, to have a feline friendly practice where we have a room dedicated to cats only and an entryway for cats and a sitting area for cats to make it so much less stressful for them. We use a pheromone diffuser in the room, which really pheromones, are you familiar with pheromones? That's what bees emit so that they can find each other and stuff. It seems to really help. And we don't dump them out of their carrier anymore. We take the top off the carrier and just do a lot of stuff to make them, and it has made a big, big difference. So I think it's important to get them in.
Are you confused and stressed out about your health? We here at Quest for Wellness are ready to provide a peaceful setting to help you sort it all out. We offer specialized massages including rotisserie, hot stone massage, or traditional massage. We also offer a variety of modalities to help you find vibrant, healthy life.
Good news, we just got the Stevens account. Get Jacobs on the horn and schedule a meeting pronto. Order lunch, something fast, Smith.
It's Jones, ma'am.
Yeah, look, we'll leverage a synergy on both sides.
Hi, Jimmy Jones?
Yeah, no, look, the boys...
Jimmy Jones.
Yep, sky's the limit on this one. Make sure the Silverman file is on my desk ASAP. Did you order lunch?
Yeah, it's waiting for you.
Better be, Smith.
Still Jones, ma'am.
Can't wait on this. Time is money.
Jimmy Jones.
Jimmy John's. Order online now.
Nice job, Jones.
McDonald's Candies, 1064 South Getty Street in Muskegon, features an assortment of chocolate-covered nuts and creams, peanut clusters, fudge, seafoam, turtles, cherry cordials, and regular and holiday novelties.
With over 50 years of combined experience,
The mechanics at Norton Small Engine Repair will keep you running right.
leaf blowers,
Snow blowers.
parts and service,
And when it comes to buying new,
think steel.
at Norton Small Engine Repair,
Quality service is your guarantee.
Age much faster than you and I, so a 9-year-old cat is a very geriatric cat. They get their diseases starting early as 3 years of age. They hide them very well, and you're not going to see them from the outside. The thing I hate is they come into me and I haven't seen them in 15 years, and now they're not feeling well. Well, now they're in the end stages of kidney failure. Had I seen them when it started, 4 or 5 or 6 years prior to that, we could have significantly slowed the progression of that disorder and given them a good quality of life for many, many years beyond what they're going to get now. Things that we look for, obviously, dental disease, changes in their weight gain, weight loss. If they're not grooming, they don't feel good. Cats are very fastidious groomers. Are they eating less, more? Increase in water intake is a big one. By the time they're drinking more, they've already lost like 70% of their kidney function. So that's another good reason. I mean, we always say, watch for this sign. But by the time you notice it, it's fairly progressive. Are they hiding or are they howling at night? That's hyperthyroid kitties. One of the first symptoms is they're walking around the house at night howling. And that's an easy one to treat too. So we look for eye, skin, and orthopedic problems too. Arthritis does occur in our cats. We don't document it very often because nobody notices their cat limping like their dog does, or they don't notice that the cat doesn't want to jump up on the bed anymore, things like that. But they do get arthritis. These are just, like I said, all the different areas that we're looking at on the cat, different things that we're looking for. Preventive care, obviously once or twice a year annual physical, or physicals once or twice a year, depending, of course, on the age of your cat. Older cat, twice a year, 7 years and up. Younger cats, once a year is usually adequate. I want to just digress here really quickly and talk about vaccines. This is a really controversial topic, and a lot of veterinarians are still doing annual vaccines. We have never done annual vaccines, and my practice is 20 years old. We have done every 3 years for 20 years because, or not at all. The indoor-only cats in our hands are only vaccinated up through their first year of age. Then on out, because if they're truly indoors, not those cats that sneak out every now and then or anything like that, but if they stay in all the time, the only vaccine we keep up to date is the rabies, and only because the law wants you to have it. Okay? But there's a really great study, several studies nowadays, that say that they did a study to see how long do cats hold immunity to vaccines, and they determined that the worst case scenario is 3 years. Most cats for life, and many, many of them for at least 7 years. So we do our vaccine protocol, except for cats that go outside. They get vaccinated once every 3 years for feline distemper and once every 3 years for rabies. They don't get any other vaccines after their first year of life. And in fact, if they've proven that they're truly going to stay inside all their life, we stop doing the distemper altogether, and they only get the rabies. And the reality of it is they're probably immune for life anyway. The last time I got a vaccine when I was 5. And I haven't had one since, and I have immunity to everything. I know there are lapses. I know because some people had measles a few years ago. But for the most part, the vast majority of cats will hold immunity for life. And if they're not outside, they're not exposed. They're not getting exposed to these disorders. So I don't think it's appropriate to be putting antigen in their body and stimulating their immune system inappropriately like that, unless you absolutely need to. Now, those cats that go outside, doing vaccines is absolutely necessary, especially feline leukemia. Because that vaccine does not have the longevity of the other vaccines, and the disease is devastating. So vaccines cause reactions like sarcoma formation. They get tumors from vaccines, feline leukemia vaccine in particular, and it kills them. There is no real effective treatment for those sarcomas. So we prefer just to vaccinate based on the lifestyle of the cat. We do the same thing for dogs. But we do like screening lab work. We like to know how good are the kidneys functioning. Are we in the early stages? We now stage kidney disease in different, it's called iris staging, and we treat accordingly. It's made it very easy to pick your treatment protocols based on what stage of kidney failure this particular cat is in. And like I said, most of them are there at some point or another in their life. The reason for kidney disease in cats, which is of course the most common killer of cats, is they have what's known as a desert-adapted kidney. Their kidneys will concentrate water so effectively that they're working so hard all the time. So they tend to go into kidney failure. And the fact that you're presenting protein to them all the time, because they're carnivores. So lots of protein to the kidneys makes the kidneys work pretty hard, because that's one of their jobs, is to keep the protein for the body. So that's true in people too. People that are vegetarians actually use their kidneys a lot less. So in preventive care, in addition to vaccines, annual exams, lab work when it's appropriate, dentals when they're needed, if your preventive care hasn't done it, we have lots of things to improve quality of life. We have therapeutic diets, lots of medications nowadays available for cats. We use a cold therapy laser for arthritis in cats because cats don't tolerate pain medications like other species. Lots of supplements. New and up-and-coming therapy that I'm really hoping to get involved in is stem cell therapy. You've probably heard about this a little bit for people. It's highly effective in many situations, and we're hoping to be able to institute it within probably a year. It's a fairly costly thing to get involved in, but for kidney failure, it's proven really, really helpful, among other diseases, arthritis and stuff. So that's, for the kitties, pretty much it. This is all the stuff we talked about, how they hide their disease. You don't know they're sick until they're really, really sick. We'd rather see them earlier to detect it early when we can actually intervene and save their lives. It's heartbreaking for us. I can't tell you how many times this happens, where they come in, 15 years later after the 1 year we saw them for their first vaccines. And I don't care about the vaccines. I mean, I don't think they're necessary, but I think the annual exam is really important for these guys, and the lab work when necessary. The other thing is heartworm prevention. Cats do get heartworm disease, and it just takes one mosquito. And I know my house gets mosquitoes in it. Even if you have an indoor kitty, it's at risk for heartworm disease, but there's great preventions nowadays. There's even a test for it now that will pick it up. We didn't have that before.
Family-owned and operated business located at 7170 East Apple Avenue in Muskegon. Featuring a wide variety of hunting and fishing gear with a full-service archery repair shop, plumbing and electrical supplies. From chainsaw repair to pet food, Barnes Hardware is your one-stop shop.
Living healthy is more than just counting carbs and exercising, it's a lifestyle choice. Embrace sound, natural alternatives, cultivate and sustain a better way to healthy living. The Health Hut offers a wide selection of vitamins, minerals, herbs, medicinal mushrooms, women's and men's supplements, as well as a vast array of skincare and beauty products. Their friendly, knowledgeable staff is always on hand to help you choose the products that best suit your individual needs. The Health Hut. We have your good health in mind.
Why Not Embroidery, located at 200 Holton Road in North Muskegon, specializing in custom embroidery and screen printing for schools, churches, corporate and fundraising events, family reunions, whatever the need or occasion. Featuring Lake Michigan unsalted apparel, Why Not offers sweatshirts, t-shirts, athletic and corporate wear, towels, backpacks, baby items, and graduation gifts. They also do window decals and signed vinyl. Why Not Embroidery, 231-744-8849.
Thank you guys for coming. I'm Tanya Christensen from Must Love Dogs Boutique in Grand Haven. I have a huge passion for animals, specifically dogs, and I believe my purpose on this planet is to make their lives better through nutrition, training, and behavior. So today I've chosen to talk to you about nutrition because I believe it's the cornerstone of who people are, and dogs also. I'm going to touch base on a few things such as Dr. Karen Becker, who is a holistic vet. I think she's in Indiana. She has a list of the top dog foods, from the best to the worst, and we're gonna skim across that, and then we're gonna talk about how diet can prevent and treat some diseases and issues, and we're gonna talk about treats, because a lot of times people think they feed a good food, but then they feed poor treats, and it needs to be across the board. I'm going to I'll take questions. But in order for me to get through it pretty quickly, it may be necessary to kind of skim through, and then I hope to have a question session at the end. So first we're going to talk about why diet is important to your dog. I've done this seminar for a rescue group, and diet can affect how your dog acts, how well and easily trainable they are, everything. So if a dog is fed like Beneful, which is chock full of sugars and artificial colors, it kind of causes your dog to bounce off the walls, and it makes it a little more difficult. So this is just one example of why it's important to feed your dog a healthy diet for their emotional health. And their physical health is that a lot of times, just like with people, if we eat processed foods, we're not going to be as healthy as if we eat whole foods. Whole foods being things that either had a parent or came from the ground. It's an easy way to think of it. It's kind of like a paleo thing. Dr. Karen Becker, if you want to look at any of her information, she has a website. It's at mercola.com, and it's a person's health site, but if you go to the pet section, she has lots of videos, really amazing stuff. I talk about a species-appropriate diet, and Barb had touched on this with cats. Species appropriate means what would your dog eat if they were not a domestic dog? Because their bodies are really built to process and pull nutrients from things that are species appropriate. So Dr. Karen Becker's list, and we're gonna, like I said, skip over this, but the #1 very best diet that she believes your dog can be on is a homemade raw diet. But she says, as Barb said, well, first, don't confuse homemade raw with cooked, because cooking removes the nutrients, so raw is really the optimal thing for dogs. And you have to do a ton of research when you're feeding raw to your dog, because they can be nutrient lacking a lot of vitamins and minerals. So if you do that, you do need to have a good supplement with your raw diet. The very second best diet for your dog is a commercial raw diet. A commercial raw diet has figured it all out for you pretty much. Like I stock the Stella and Chewy's. The Stella and Chewy's is all free range, hormone free, antibiotic free meats. All their vegetables are organic. My dogs eat better than I do. But this way you don't have to do as much guesswork. It's pretty much done for you, but there is no single food that is right for every single dog. So you kind of have to do a little trial and error when you're trying to find out what's the best food for your dog. One of the reasons raw is highly recommended is because it's moisture rich. Dogs generally get about 10% moisture in their kibble in their regular everyday diet. Dogs are designed to live on 80% moisture, so they're living in a state of constant dehydration, which is really hard on organs. Just like with people. People are like, why do I have migraines? Well, you need to drink more water. You know, it's like and our organs function properly and better, more efficiently when we have more moisture in our diet. Number 3, working down the list, is a cooked homemade diet. Cooked is not optimal, but it is better than most kibbles out there if you know what you're doing. Again, the cooked homemade diet, you have to make sure that you do a ton of research, because you can go the complete opposite direction. About 6 years ago, there was a huge dog food recall, and I had a lot of customers coming in saying, I'm just going to cook for my dog. And I'm like, that could be just as bad as feeding kibble if you don't do it right. The next thing is a human-grade canned food diet. So this is a premium, and it's usually the most expensive diet. Canned food can be more expensive than feeding raw, but it's high in moisture, and it's got the whole ingredients in it. Then we come back down to human-grade dry kibble is the next best thing. So I have some human-grade dry kibbles at my store. Super premium canned, which is not as good as the human grade can, but it's and it's got the moisture in it, which is really great. Then we go down to super premium dry, and then grocery store canned, grocery store dry, and then semi-moist pouches is way down on the list. And the worst diet you can feed your dog is an unbalanced homemade diet, whether it be raw or cooked, because if you're not doing it right, it's worse than anything else, because all of those other things on the list are balanced. So if you don't feed your dog a balanced diet at home, it's worse than feeding a low-grade kibble. So that's just kind of a fun thing to kind of see where you fit in. Feeding your dog really has a lot to do with what you can afford, what you want to do convenient-wise, but the way that I see it is I'm entrusted with her life, and that's a great privilege, and I want to do the very best things for her that I can do. So kind of some basic things that you want to avoid are, and there may be a little controversy about this too, but like for my dogs, I do not want corn, wheat, or soy in their foods at all. Grain isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I like to do a moderately protein grain-free for people who want to do kibble. Artificial flavors, artificial colors, artificial preservatives, these are all chemicals. These are processed, like processed foods. If dog food should be brown, and if it's any other color, it's bad, because the colors are for the people. The dog doesn't care what color the food is, and it's not good for them, just like it's not good for us. If you do choose a food with grain, make sure you're picking whole grains and not the stuff that, the byproducts of, human food production. They deserve better than what's swept off the floor at the human food facility. And it's really important to have things that are made in the USA. We've had a lot of problems with the Chinese treats lately, and it's just what really baffles me is they can't pinpoint where the issues are coming from, but yet they still continue to sell them. And it breaks my heart that they'll continue to do that.
Since 1990, West Shore Medical Personnel Services Incorporated has been providing quality home health care for Muskegon, Montcalm, Kent, Allegan, Ottawa, Newaygo, Oceana, Manistee, and Mason counties, staffing private homes with medical personnel up to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. RNs, LPNs, state-certified CNAs, homemakers, companions, and live-ins, all insured. West Shore Medical Personnel Services Incorporated, home health care you can depend on. For employment opportunities, please contact us.
Northway Lanes, 1751 Evanston Avenue in Muskegon, featuring 50 auto-score lanes, cosmic bowling, billiards, a cafe and banquet facility, lounge and pro shop. Looking for somewhere to hold your child's next birthday party? Northway Lanes can supply everything you need, from invitations and decorations to personal pizzas, hot dogs and fries, to soft drinks, ice cream and goodie bags, even a private party room.
Established in 1973 by Paul M. Lattis, Lattis & Hoops Law Offices has been a multi-service law firm specializing in accident cases, personal injury, wrongful death, Social Security disability, divorce, probate and wills, and real estate. When it comes to choosing the right attorney for your legal needs, don't choose out of town, choose local legal counsel. It really pays. It's experience when it counts. It's Lattis & Hoops Law Offices.
Helping conditions via diet, touching on a few examples of what we can do for that. Barb had touched on that with kidney issues and increasing water intake. Allergies. Allergies are really big with dogs. A lot of dogs have allergies, and a lot of people are very confused on how to approach it. Allergies is actually a compromised immune system. Allergies is a symptom and not the problem. So what I recommend people do initially is we look over their food, make sure their food doesn't have any of the things that I had mentioned. And treats are really important. I had one lady that switched her food, but then she kept feeding, she would give her dog saltine crackers at night, and the dog had wheat allergies. And she's like, well, this food just isn't working. And so it took me about 20 minutes to find out that she gave her dog saltine crackers before bed every night. So it's anything that goes in and on your dog that could cause these issues. We talk about removing grains, we'll talk about protein sources, but a lot of times I focus on building the immune system. And the best way to build the immune system is through probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes. I always say that it is the best thing to do to derive your supplements or your vitamins and minerals as much from the original source as possible. So, for example, if you need a certain vitamin, you should get it from the vegetable that has the vitamin, not necessarily the mix of vitamins that the dog food companies put in their kibble. It's like, okay, here's the food, and then we put in the vitamin mix, which has everything, so that it just covers our tail. We've got it. So, one of the products that I stock at the store is the raw goat's milk. And the biggest question I get is, well, aren't a lot of animals lactose intolerant? Yes. But lactose intolerance comes from processed milk, pasteurized milk. It actually changes the milk and makes people lactose intolerant. So people who are lactose intolerant can generally have raw products, but not pasteurized products. You cannot get non-pasteurized products for people, but you can for dogs. And so the raw goat's milk, say if you were to get a dog food that has probiotics and prebiotics on it, there'll be about 1 or 2 different kinds of probiotics in the dog food. You get a powdered supplement or possibly a liquid supplement that has probiotics in it, and you may get 25 to 30 different kinds of probiotics in it. This has over 200 different kinds of live, breeding bacteria in it, and is an excellent way to repopulate your dog's immune system and digestive tract with probiotics. Now, there's only one way better that I would recommend, and that's raw green tripe, and I don't know if anybody's, raw green tripe is the lining of a cow's stomach, and it is highly effective and good for dogs, but it is the most rank thing on the planet. And you don't want to get it canned, because canned is cooked, and once you've cooked it, you've diminished its nutritional value and its purpose. So I do special order it for one customer, but it's pretty rancid. So this is something that is second best. The green tripe is more species appropriate because the animal, if they were killing a deer, and a lot of times they don't eat the stomach contents, but they will eat the stomach itself, which contains the tripe. So that is the first thing that I recommend we do the diet change and we do this. All of my dogs are on this because you can never go wrong with a strong immune system. And I'm a minimal vaccinator. All my dogs only get rabies currently because my youngest dog is 7. So they've all had their vaccines and as they last for, so they just currently get, and so I want to make sure that their immune systems are as strong as possible, which you'd want to do regardless. Seizures. It's found to have dogs who have seizures. If you put them on a low-carb diet, it will reduce seizures, which generally means grain-free. And again, you want to boost the immune system. You want to lower stress. Dogs with cancer, you can also feed for cancer. And treats, like I touched on before, if you're feeding a really great diet but you're feeding bacon strips, you're kind of defeating yourself. So treats line up with your dog's diet. Is there any particular things that you guys have more questions on? Because I kind of skimmed over it and I made it really short. But are there any particular questions that anyone has?
There is just a plethora of foods out there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make your choices on what you think is an appropriate diet versus what is not?
Well, when somebody comes in the store and they're like, I really want to switch dog foods, what would you recommend?
I mean, for you to carry.
For me to carry?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I started out with Nature's Variety, and Nature's Variety is more processed than Stella and Chewy's. So what I stock in my store is sometimes an Evolution, but like with my kibbles, they're all grain-free, or not grain-free, they're all corn, wheat, and soy-free. They're all artificial colors, artificial flavors. And I want to, not ever having a recall to me is not as important as how they handle recalls, because these dog food companies are run by people. People make mistakes. The character in a dog food company is how they handle those mistakes. I like, U.S. produced. I like companies that produce their own foods. Not always necessary, but and rotating protein. I totally skipped over that. I highly recommend rotating protein. So I look for a diet that might be easily rotational, where somebody can, buy beef one time and chicken another time and fish another time, because as you mentioned with the lamb, dogs can build up intolerances. If you ate chicken every day for your entire life, don't you think your body would wave the white flag eventually, and go, oh, I'm so tired of chicken, and it kind of your body becomes, it's not as aware of what you're eating when you're eating the same thing every single day. So I highly recommend, for the best nutrient absorption, that you can rotate it.
And if they were out hunting, of course, they're going to catch a snail.
They're going to eat, And the biggest challenge is that our dogs domesticated are so used to such a diet, like kibble every single day, that sometimes it's hard to switch your dog to a raw or a freeze-dried, because there's also, like, this Sojo's is freeze-dried. Stella & Chewy's has a dehydrated, where you, just you can rehydrate it. Same thing with this. So there's things in the middle that you can do if raw is not like your gig.
Hello, my name is Jim McLean and I'm a realtor. A recent survey indicated what people want most in their realtor includes understands needs, inspires trust, manages details, has great connections in the community, and is experienced in negotiations. I developed and used these very same skills during my 30-year career as a teacher and principal in Muskegon.
Serving the Fruitport area for over 35 years, Grover Pharmacy offers a full line of vitamins, supplements, and homeopathic medicines, as well as a variety of glucometers, blood pressure kits, baby care items, bandages, and wound care products. They carry school and office supplies, Russell Stover candies, promotional and seasonal items, Hallmark cards, and gifts. Grover Pharmacy, they take time to care about you.
But yeah, exactly. You try to mimic the way they're supposed to be fed as much as possible. And I know, like there's concerns about contamination with the raw. You should be concerned about those contaminations with kibble too. You know, like after you feed your dog, you should wash your hands. You know, which you would do with raw too. Now, as far as contamination before it gets to the home, there have been more recalls on kibble for salmonella poisoning or contamination than raw foods. So you just...
I think the problem with the salmonella comes in when people are doing their own.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
Making their own raw.
Well, and it's how you handle it. Like, you know, you can leave kibble out all day long, you know, but the truth of the matter is that dogs can tolerate that kind of stuff if they're used to it. When you have a dog that has, you know, had kibble for 6 years and now you're trying to switch it to raw, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And there's also sometimes that you have to consider it's a healing crisis where things get worse before they get better. Because if like, say a dog's been on, you know, I don't want to pick on any certain brand, but like a grocery store brand for 5 or 6 years, and then you go and you switch them to raw, it's a shock to their system. And there's an adjustment period. But there's ways that you can ease that and you know, introduce it slowly. But when you're eating cleaner, it makes everybody so much healthier. People, dogs, we're, you know, the wholer foods. I feed my dogs raw meaty bones. I watch them because there's always a possibility for chipping teeth. Like, you know, my dogs have antlers, and I know the antlers can chip teeth, and you really have to be careful and know your dog. Because people will come in and they'll say, well, can my dog choke on this? And I'm like, well, yeah, your dog can choke on kibble. You know, whenever your dog's doing anything, chewing or eating, it should be supervised unless it's like frozen peanut butter in a Kong or something, because they can choke on anything. Or and dogs are just like people where they have different, their dental health is different. Some people have to brush their teeth 3 times a day and they still get cavities all over the place. Some people, you know, brush once a day or whatever. But, you know, dogs are the same way. Some dogs have stronger, you know, their teeth are stronger. But it's your responsibility to know your dog and know these things. So if you give your dog something and unfortunately something happens, you're like, okay, mental note, that dog can't have these hard things anymore. But the raw meaty bones are awesome for dental health, and if you know they're on a raw diet. There's also a little bit of controversy. Can you feed kibble and raw at the same time? Some people say absolutely not. And some people say, you know, and the reason why is because it digests at a different rate. And my theory on that is I eat things that digest at a different rate, and my dogs have eaten kibble and raw at the same time, and they're fine. I don't know, have you heard anything about that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm leaning towards the, I try not to baby my dogs a lot. Like, you know, you'll see her sitting in my lap and sleeping, and that's not necessarily what I mean. I mean, I love to baby them that way, but a strong body is exposed to things. They go hiking, and they you know, they're exposed to other dogs all the time. They're in my shop. You know, I get probably 20, 25 different dogs every day that come through the shop, give or take. And, you know, they have strong immune systems as far as like catching viruses or things like that. Let's see, are there any other question? Yes.
Yeah. I just read, I was just talking to her about this a little bit ago, that the supplements that they boost up with the vitamin supplements into the dry dog food, I was horrified. I'm having a moment of faith about any kind of dry dog food now, because I didn't realize that it is made in China.
And it's a mix.
The mix, the vitamin mix that is put into every dry dog food is produced in China and then put into the dog food at the last.
I don't know myself. I don't personally know if it comes from China, but
I know there are companies that have it that absolutely everything is from the
yeah, that's what I believe too. But I don't have the the documentation to back it up. But the whole thing is that like you could make a balanced dog food out of boot leather and sawdust, but that doesn't mean that's what you want to feed to your dog. So you have to be your dog's guardian, and you have to do the research on your own, or come to a place that does all the the research and because they put a vitamin mix in there, so it's like they'll put some ingredients in there that might look good to people. And if they're comparing ingredients labels, they're gonna, oh, this one looks better because it has more meat. But then they just throw the vitamins in it, and they're not as bioavailable as when you're getting things from its direct source. And a lot of times, a food has more than one aspect that complements each other. So like it might have this vitamin in it, but this mineral complements the absorption of that vitamin, and that's when you get it in a mix, it's not necessarily like that. So my rule of thumb is if you can do it naturally, and then supplement with what you can't do naturally with other stuff.
It's like fortified cereal.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. They, it's sugar and corn with artificial colors, and then they smack some vitamin powder in there, and they're like, it's fortified and healthy, and and it's not,
Could you address the importance of keeping your pet's food dish and water clean? Sometimes people leave food out all day, and maybe the animal doesn't eat all their portion, and so maybe talk about portion sizes and how important it is to keep where they eat in a sanitary.
Absolutely. Some people feed free feed, and some people feed meals. I'm just because I feel one way doesn't mean the other way is wrong, but I prefer meals. Part of the reason is that one of the dogs do not show illnesses right away, and one of the first things you'll see is an increase or decrease in appetite. So if you leave your dog's food out all the time, you won't be able to monitor that as easily. With any food, whether it be kibble or raw food, it is very important to keep your dog's dishes clean. My dog's dishes are cleaned after every meal, and the water is replaced and fresh. I just think about like, okay, this is the only thing my dog gets to drink all day long. And the longer it sits there, the oxygen comes out of the water, it's stale, it's, and I think, so I always make sure that they have fresh water. And it's important to clean the bowl too, because the bowl gets slimy and gross around that. But any dog bowl, any food, any kibble or raw or whatever, you need to keep your dog's bowls cleaned.
Are there some that are better than others in terms of plastic?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Glass is the very best thing you can do, like Pyrex. Then you back off from that, and there's stainless steel and ceramic. And then I don't carry any plastic in my store at all, because plastic's the worst thing you can feed your dog out of. Now there's, plastic is porous, and so it, at a microscopic level it's porous, and little bacteria will get and breed in there, and it can cause like doggy acne and just all kinds of things that, so.
You actually see facial lesions and like cats, feline acne, lesions and stuff from plastic. That's the first thing I'll tell people to do is get away from a plastic bowl, use stainless steel or glass.
Glass is, and glass is really the ideal way to go, but I can't find a company that makes glass dog bowls. I mean, like just glass dog bowls. I'm on the hunt.
Just at the grocery store buying the Pyrex.
I know. It's like you go buy Pyrex, but yeah.
For years, people have put together photo collages for special occasions. They go through the photo album and old shoe boxes and pull out their favorite photos and put them on poster boards. The boards are a great way of sharing stories, but it can be a pretty tedious job. Well, we here at Clocks, we want to make that job easier for you. So So just bring us all the photos and we'll scan them into the computer, and then we'll print out the collages on our large format printer. That way, all the photos will be in digital format so you can share them with your friends and relatives.
Camp Bell's Automotive and Towing, 24-hour towing and repair shop, all in one, specializing in foreign cars, as well as complete diagnostic for late models. Camp Bell's offers half-off towing if your vehicle is serviced there. If your car won't start or you need a fix, call 722-2796. Camp Bell's Automotive and Towing.
Important to find a vet that will work with you. When you're trying to do a more holistic approach to things, and you tell your vet that you want to feed raw, sometimes I've heard horror stories about how people have been belittled by their vet. Well, that's stupid, you're going to kill your dog. You know, you need to find a vet that's going to work with you and respect what you want to do. You know, someone like...
Don't ask them to balance the diet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. You know, but it's important to, you know, I think sometimes people think that I'm anti-vet, and I'm not. Vets are a very important part of our dog's health. But I also believe that you are the most important part of your dog's health. You know, you need to be an advocate for your dog, and you need to you know, either do the research or surround yourself with people who have done the research so that you can make educated decisions on your dog's well-being. You know, to me, my dogs are my children, and I don't have kids. I have four dogs, and you know, they mean the world to me, and I want to make sure I do the very best for them that I can. And so I'm very, very involved in you know, vaccinations and you know, food and. Any other questions? Oh.
Could you address the issue of treats? Oftentimes, you both pointed out about how a lot of treats aren't good for the dogs, but sometimes people seem to give treats as incentives for dogs, but isn't it also important that instead of treats that dogs need animals need to actually be outside, get some fresh air, and maybe getting some exercise is more to their benefit than getting a treat?
Well, yeah, exercise is vital for any dog. Your dog, in order to be healthy, needs to be outdoors, in the sun, active, mentally stimulated, and treats can play a really great part in a lot of things. I mean, I'm all for treats. Like, as far as training goes, if you have a food-motivated dog, it's so much easier to train a food-motivated dog. And I have no opposition to using treats during training. But it is very important. You know, everything's about balance. It should never be all one thing or all another thing. It should be balanced. So exercise is really important, and you know, picking healthy treats is really important. A treat doesn't have to be, like, I was at Meijer's a few months back, and they had this whole end cap of all these, like, they look like they were just in plastic tins or plastic tubs, and they were all treats that looked like bacon strips or, you know, the meaty treats. And I looked at it, and the second ingredient was high fructose corn syrup. And it's like, if people only knew that they should really not do that, we shouldn't do it for ourselves, and we really shouldn't do it for our dogs. So it's really important to pick proper treats. Like, I brought these are chicken chips, and these are 100% chicken. There's not a lick of anything else in them. They're made in Florida with USDA chicken. Dogs go nuts over them. This is an awesome treat. Stella & Chewy's makes treats that have, you know, beef heart, beef liver, and it's dehydrated in these little nuggets. I mean, those are amazing treats. And, you know, people are like, oh, my dog, you know, loves bacon strips. And, well, you know, it's like kids who love McDonald's, you know. You don't let your dog choose what's best for them. They don't know, you know. Does that answer?
You know, the other thing about the exercise issue too is, and I always tell my clients this, is like, if you have a dog and it has to go outside for a walk at least once a day, multiple times if you can, but it gets you outside in this weather when otherwise you would not.
Right.
So not only is it healthy for your dog, but it's healthy for you, because you gotta take that walk every single day in the middle of the blizzard and the polar vortex.
Right. That's right. Any other questions before we wrap up?